Welcome to this evening's Yukon City Council and Yukon Municipal Authority meeting. It is July the 15th, 2025, approximately 7 p.m. We're gathered here in Council Chambers in the Centennial Building at 12 South 5th Street in the great city of Yukon, Oklahoma. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Brian Pillmore.
Here.
Jeff Wooten.
Here.
Shelley Selby.
Here.
Adam Shriver.
Here.
Rodney Zimmerman.
Here.
At this time, we'll have our invocation delivered by Pastor Woody Burpo of Family Church, followed by our Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise as you are able.
Let's pray. Lord, thank you for letting us live in such a great city. God, thank you for providing men and women to lead us in great faithfulness. God, I pray that you'd give them your wisdom in running our city. God, we do pray that your blessing would be on our city, God, as we are gearing up for schools to start back. God, I pray for that. God, I pray for all the teachers and faculty and everybody, the admin. God, I pray that you'd bless them. God, I pray that you would bless our students as they're getting ready to go back to school. God, I just pray, Lord, that your hand would be upon them. Pray for our businesses. Pray that you would allow them to be blessed and prosper as well. Pray for all of our citizens, God. Pray for the ones that are struggling. Pray that you'd be with each one of them. In Jesus' name, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for joining us. As a reminder for all those in attendance regarding procedure and decorum of this city council meeting, we follow Robert's Rules of Order to ensure that our discussion is orderly, respectful, and efficient. The city council may only speak as to items as they appear on the agenda at the time each item is formally considered. The visitor section provides an opportunity for any attendee to address the council on any matter related to the city of Yukon or to the Yukon Municipal Authority for up to 3 minutes. This evening, we do not have any presentations or proclamations. We will begin with the discussion and possible action to approve a non-exclusive cable television franchise agreement between the City of Yukon and Coxcom LLC, doing business as Cox, for a term of 10 years with the option of one additional 10-year renewal period, allowing Cox to erect, maintain, and operate transmission and distribution facilities within the City of Yukon rights of way, subject to the terms and conditions set forth in the agreement. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll begin this discussion here by saying that our franchise holders in the City of Yukon, whether they're to deliver electricity service, telephone, cable, and other services, are some of our greatest partners. This evening, we have representatives from Cox, and I would welcome them to speak about the partnership, the long-term partnership with the city. This is the renewal of the last agreement, which is a 20-year agreement. And this is going to be a 10-year with a one 10-year option, so a possibility of 20 years as well. Robbie, would you like to speak?
Well, thank you so much. It is an honor to be here. I was raised in this community, and I am choosing to raise my family in this community as well. My colleague, Cade Shaw, as well, was raised here. You may have heard of a little restaurant called Bad Brad's. That's his family restaurant, and so he's put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this community as well. Cox Communications came into this community over 40 years ago, and I know because my mother told me that when I was an infant, she would have to get up at night, and many of you may remember this, you won't remember this, but she said in the middle of the night, before there was cable, the American flag would play after the news went off. And she stayed up all night because my dad was a member of the Yukon Police Department. He worked with Chief Corn wherever he is. I remember Chief Corn as a very young man. Not that he's not a young man now. But my mom told my dad, if you're going to work at night and I have to stay up with this baby, we're getting cable because I'm sick of looking at that American flag just flying for hours and hours and hours. That's what used to happen when the news went off, if you can believe that. There wasn't 24-hour programming. So she got Cox Cable here in Yukon, and so 40 some odd years later, I won't tell you my age, we're here again to say we want to continue our partnership with this city. We are proud supporter, proud member of it. Our company was founded 126 years ago. We've been through every iteration of communications, from newspaper to telephone, from telephone to radio, radio to TV, TV to cable, and now high-speed fiber internet. So we have been a member of the chamber. Thank you, Pam, for many, many years. Great partnership with them. Recently, you may have seen, we opened a new retail store on Garth Brooks in front of Walmart there, and we are offering our Cops Mobile products. And then we have been a longtime supporter of many nonprofits, many activities here in the community. And my colleague Kate is responsible for all of our Cox Charities giving and philanthropic and volunteer efforts. And I wanted to give him an opportunity just to share some of the things that we've done in the last few years.
Yeah, thank you, Robbie. I want to start by saying I'm incredibly thankful that I get to work for a company that allows me to invest back into my hometown. That is very rewarding for me. So I want to highlight our Cox Charities Giving Program. Employees can elect to have a certain amount of their paycheck go towards our Cox Charities Fund, and then these employees are also making decisions on the applications we come in for our community investment grants, where we are giving dollars to power our nonprofits, as well as our education grants, where we are supplying school supplies or innovative classroom experiences for students and teachers as well. Yukon has been the recipient of several of these, including Compassionate Hands and Manna Pantry, which are two of our nonprofit grants and community investment. I remember back whenever I was an elementary student asking people for their extra pennies and quarters to go to the Manna Pantry, so it's really rewarding to get to be back now and be able to invest even more dollars in great missions. Yukon High School has been a 3-time recipient. Ranchwood Elementary has been a 3-time recipient. Yukon Middle School and my alma mater, Southwest Covenant High Schools, has also been recipients as well. And again, these are all programs that go towards our communities and the things that are happening here. We are also proud to be the first corporate sponsor of the Route 66 Centennial Alliance, much of which will be celebrating the businesses and communities along Route 66, including right here in Yukon. It is exciting to be a part of these different things, and we do believe in investing in our network, but also believe that investing in our people is the way that we keep each other connected.
I think that's it. As we finish up talking about investment, obviously investing in our communities is really important. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that your network's working at home. And I can tell you that we have invested over the last 4 years, $12 billion to improving our network, ensuring fiber is deeper and closer to your home to provide the best in-class experience. So that's it. We appreciate it and look forward to serving you for years to come.
Thanks so much, Robbie and Kate. Any other discussion on this item? Seeing no more discussion, Madam Clerk, would you please call the vote?
Wooten.
Yes.
Selby.
Yes.
Shriver.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
Pillmore.
Yes. At this time, we have a small delay. We're waiting for our new engineer, SRB, to arrive. So in the meantime, I'd like to take up item 17, reports from the city staff and then comments from the city council. Beginning with Mr. Chris with a financial report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a second, we'll have the slideshow up and we'll get started. Excited to present to you year-end, fiscal year-end, June 30 information. Your first page is fund account balances. Just as kind of a reminder, transition last month from presenting cash in the bank balances and focus more on a fund balance basis. You do see that number became about $65.8 million total, which is to be expected as year-end spending occurred in this final month of fiscal year 2025. The next slide is CD fund balance as of June 2025. Not a lot of change here. We did not have any CDs mature and recognize any gain in those at present. But again, healthy $19.2 million in CDs at present. The next slide is our sales tax that we received, the 4-cent sales tax. This month we received $2.2 million, down slightly from 2.3 last year. That equates to down about 2.48% year over year. Starting off this fiscal year, about $60,000 down slightly in sales tax. This next slide just breaks down the distribution of how that sales tax is broken out. It's broken out into 5 different ways. Half of it goes directly to the general fund for operating costs. 3/4 of a cent goes to the 1996 Capital Improvement Fund. So that goes back specifically to capital projects. Another 3/4 cent of the 4 cents goes to the 2003 pest fund. Pest, just to kind of reiterate what that is the public employee sales tax. That's further broken out between fire, police, and general employees for use specifically to improve those specific departments. 2003 Yukon Reserve Fund, so that's just our general reserve fund. 1/4 cent goes directly into that. That's just reserves that the city holds, kind of a rainy day fund, if you will. And then 06 Capital Improvement Fund, another 1/4% goes back into capital improvements. Use tax, did see a decrease again here. Spoke with Dave Francis at Oklahoma Tax Commission, had a lot of good information. We did have a couple of our largest payees on this only pay about half of what they were supposed to, so we're likely to see an uptick next month. One other factor, and it's not noted on the slide, but in recent time he shared, and I could see it in our reports as he mentioned it, several pharmaceutical items have been redesignated as non-sales tax items, and so we're seeing refunds to our amount monthly from some of those entities that had prior paid sales tax on those items. So we are seeing some negative hits to that as well. So that is making an impact in that use tax. Down, like I said, quite a bit, 20% over last year. Hoping August we see.
Is that a change in state law? What caused that pharmacy?
Yes, that's what he informed was it was a state
Okay.
law change.
Thank
And
you.
I apologize, I don't know the specific state law, but yes. So again, just kind of a breakdown pictograph of where that 4 cents goes. 1 cent goes to our capital improvement, with 3 cents just going to general sales tax, so just our general fund. If you'll remember, we will have it presented today, but as our audit for 23-24 is completed, we will begin receiving gas excise taxes again once that's submitted. This slide shows actual received gas and tobacco taxes of 13,700. I'm sorry. So that's actually received. This slide gives kind of a guideline of what it will be when we get that filed. So up 1.26 slightly, just a little bit over last year. Revenue summary by type. This is within the general fund. This is end of year information, so closing out the fiscal year. Overall, revenues 32.7 in the general fund, or I'm sorry, was the budgeted, I'm sorry. Within the month of June, 2.2 was collected. 30.8 is where we ended up the year, and year-to-date actual revenue. So 94.25% to plan for those specific types within the general fund. Breakdown within the general fund expenditures, very much mirroring the management we talked about last time in trying to really be smart about managing those expenditures as well. $36 million budget, 3.4 expensed in June, and 34.1 total year-to-date actual spent, so 92.5% to plan on our expenditures. Enterprise, very straightforward, but year-to-date collections is at 98.28. Again, this was year-to-date information. Expenditures reflecting very similar, 97.51% to plan on expenditures, so very equally matched on that front. And finally, my favorite and the most fun slide is interest earnings. Shared this slide previously. The only change is showing year-end information. Year-end 2025, we had interest earnings across all funds of $1.7 million. You can see year-end 2024 information of $625,000. Nearly a 300% increase for the year. We have just almost gotten through all of our reconciliation. So again, this number is likely to even increase some slightly, but I think 275,000 is a pretty good one to take note of. So
I love
Thank
when you end up on that slide.
I'm
I
sorry?
love that slide right there.
I know,
That's
it's a
an
good
awesome
one.
to
It's a
end
good
on.
one.
Good job.
Any other
Great
questions?
Great impact. Thank you so much, Mr. Chris, you and your whole team for the work that you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Mr. Acting City Manager, do you have any updates for us?
Not at this time, sir.
Thank you. At this time, we'll take comments from council members, beginning with Council Member Selby.
And thank you all for coming out tonight. Please do note that our next city council meeting will be on a Wednesday. I know that's church night, and we don't usually do things on church night, but we're having a meeting, so make note that we'll only have one in August.
Councilmember Zimmerman.
Just want to thank the city and all the city employees for the 4th of July celebration. It was outstanding as usual.
Councilmember Shriver.
Yeah, I'd like to, we have given a lot of time and effort. I've met with a lot of these families at local diners, cafes, coffee shops, late nights standing outside the council talking. We've got our feasible study in from the amphitheater. Not only am I going to stand with the majority of the constituents and vote against this thing, actually not vote, I'm going to propose against it. I will not be standing behind the amphitheater. I'm going to stand with the constituents and the impact panel, what am I trying to say?
Feasibility.
The feasibility study. I think there's better opportunities out there, bang for our buck. So I just want to let the faces know that I'm not going to get behind the amphitheater.
Joe, do we have a button for Mr. Shriver?
I never got one, and I've been against it all along, folks.
Vice Mayor Wooten. Vice Mayor Wooten.
Mr. Deckard, congrats to your group and all your employees. 4th of July was amazing. Also, with the floods, your staff was right on doing what they needed to do, getting out there, doing a great job. So thank you.
They're the best. Thank you.
Thanks so much. I'd like to recognize public safety as well as water, sewer, public works, streets, et cetera, for the recent flooding. I got, minute by minute updates from Acting City Manager Deckard. We had some damage to some vehicles. We did have some residents with some water in their homes. I know that the Oklahoma Standard is alive and well in Yukon with all the help that you all have given to your neighbors as they've gone through that challenging time. And I appreciate the city staff for blocking off roads, giving good notice, keeping everyone safe. To my knowledge, no loss of life, no individuals harmed. Additionally, I'd like to weigh in. I took some time on Friday and over the weekend to assess a feasibility study. And I think on a couple of fronts, we've been evaluating in living rooms, in coffee shops, in after council meetings, during council meetings, the evaluation of the fit of the amphitheater for our citizens and our community. And we got the economic results back as well. And it's not solely about return on investment. It's about the fit for our community combined with the return on investment. I was frankly disappointed with the overall return on investment as well. And so at this time, we're not moving forward with the amphitheater. We've chatted with council members. Council members have chatted with citizens. And we appreciate all the engagement. I mentioned earlier to one of our news channels that it's really critical that when we have opportunities like this, we evaluate them and bring in outside experts when our own city staff doesn't possess that expertise. And the analogy I gave is that the city of Yukon is about 3% of the size of the city of Oklahoma City. The city of Oklahoma City has many of these types of economic development analysts and Economic Development Authority, Alliance for Economic Development, on their own staff. They're a city of that size and of that resource. We don't, but sometimes we have these opportunities. So we have to evaluate them with some outside expertise. And that's what we've completed. And so I think you should feel good about your council members. Every single member of this council spent hours of their own time evaluating it, visiting the sites, talking to experts, visiting with you in your living rooms, in community venues, and talking about the fit for our community. So
If
I thank
we
you.
ever do another feasibility study, I'd like for us to use a different company. There were several errors. We paid $60,000 for this, and there was many errors in it.
One of the errors I caught was they did our competitors, our local competitors, and several of them that they left off was like Lucky Star Casino, Riverwind, which I get's not an amphitheater, but it is a music venue.
Said there were no hotels.
Yeah, no hotel. And then
Right close on the other side in Oklahoma City. They're right across the
and
road.
while I was out meeting, with some of our constituents, we probably found out why they didn't put the casinos on our competition list, because they're the same people who did the feasible study for the casinos. So it was little way wrong. I'll stand with Shelley on that as well.
Thank you so much. This time I'll highlight a few local events that we have coming up. Concerts in the Park continue for the next 4 Thursdays through August the 7th. They're held at 7 p.m. Thursday evening, Chisholm Trail Park at the large gazebo. Free for all, family-friendly music, hot dogs, hamburgers, concession items are available for purchase. All performance dates and performers can be found at yukonok.gov/fun. Friday Fun Days continue for the next 4 Friday mornings, including Old School Recess at Hillcrest Park this Friday. At 10 a.m. it begins. They're at various locations. You can, again, find the details at yukonok.gov/fun. And lastly, the famed Rock the Root, Thursday, August the 28th, 6 p.m. to 11 p.m., just around the corner here on Route 66 in downtown Yukon. At 4th and Main is where the stage is located, and you can enjoy it all the way up that hill with Route 66 shut down that night. It's free for all, live music. The headliner is Tanner Usry. Special guests, Them Dirty Roses, and the opener is Caroline Grace. Food trucks, there's a kids area with inflatables, carnival games, rock wall, bull riding, arts and crafts, and more, and the famous guitar raffle. With that, I'll wrap up the reports section, and we will jump back to item number 7 on our agenda. We'll have discussion and possible action to approve an agreement with Smith Roberts Baldish-Weiler LLC. SRB is how we're going to call it from now on every agenda, to provide program management and engineering support services for the Yukon Municipal Authority and the City of Yukon, and to authorize Mayor Chairman to sign all documents associated thereto. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Sir, the floor is yours.
Mayor and council, and yes, we'll be happy to be SRB for you.
Fair enough.
That my former partner who recently retired, he was part of the University of Oklahoma 74-75 championship team. So
Awesome.
Yes, I recognize that name. So I will introduce myself. I'm Mark Long. I'm a principal and partner with SRB. With me tonight is Dakota Desai, Urban and Regional Planner. I apologize for being late. I had to cover for another engineer on vacation in another city, and they tried to move me up, and it didn't happen. So I will keep this brief. But you did solicit out for general engineering qualifications. How does this?
There we go.
Okay. Looking for city engineering services. SRB is a comprehensive in-house type firm. We've done work for various municipalities, most of all within the metropolitan area and the Teen County area of Oklahoma City. There you go. Where am I not pointing at? Oh, okay. All right, and we were formed in 1981, so we're over 40 years old, and I will skip through a lot of this so that we can get to a couple of things. We've done on-call city engineering work for Oklahoma City since 2008, so very many years. We've been in Nichols Hills since 1991, helped them form their first bond issue programs. War Acres in 2012 we took over. We actually helped them put together their first bond issue in 2019, as well as TIF districts and other planning commission and community development items. City of Piedmont, we've been there since 2021. We just recently helped them secure $21 million in funding for their water and wastewater program. First program they've ever done on their water and wastewater system, and I think you've probably heard of their water crises. I'm going to spend a little bit more right now about a different approach. So when we came into the interview and met your interim city manager and the staff, we basically said, We would love to help and work with the City of Yukon, but you should not hire us as your city engineer. We feel like that you should look at hiring several engineering firms instead of a single engineering firm. The City of Yukon has grown tremendously. I recognize it's 3%, but you have a lot of development and you have a lot of opportunity here. And the growth potential is huge, and you have a lot of opportunity to have a lot of expertise, and there are several engineers that you could have that would be involved. We did agree that we would assist in the process of empowering the city departments and the city manager and the mayor and council in hiring and selecting and managing these engineering firms and other consultants. The focus will be to identify and implement areas that need engineering support, fill those voids interim with SRB or other firms, and where it's beneficial to ultimately offer city staff positions so that you can grow this community. Essentially, this is looking at prioritization and optimization. And I won't spend a lot of time on each, but this will be some material that we'll be working on. We're going to do a series of 2 workshops with your city staff over the next month, and then we'll come back with more specific recommendations on how we can help work with department heads and implement this strategy. But essentially, effective and affordable capital programs require a balance between operation, maintenance, safety, funding types, and building a resilience and dealing with aging infrastructure and growth. It's important that you understand the overall process, and that is thinking about things as an asset. The city is an asset, all of your infrastructure is an asset, your employees are an asset, all of the people that are vendors are an asset to you. But looking at it not only from that level, but from a financial planning, and then balancing that out into optimizing a capital program for both public works, parks, community development, and other departments. Essentially, we're going to involve stakeholders, which is going to be all your department heads in these workshops. We're going to look forward to developing priorities, and we're going to use a risk-based framework. Everything is going to be based on risk, and we're going to be looking at what is the risk of you either doing projects or not doing projects, evaluating projects, and helping you to build that framework. This will be an integrated planning approach, and this has been used in numerous communities across the country, and we've been using it with the Oklahoma City Water Utilities Department. We've used it with several other communities to help them in various ways. It's a 4-step process. First, we're going to work with Public Works, your capital improvement, your sales tax program, your community development, your parks and recreation, your utilities, and any other enterprise or rate-paying funds. First, you're going to identify those projects. There's a lot of information already out there. We're just going to work with what vendors you have, what contracts you have, what studies you've done in the past, and lay that all out and try to build that into a framework of where are you at, and then develop an asset approach. Then we'll look at developing programs. And I know I'm going fast, but it's all about doing a scoring system. So everything is going to be based off of prioritization and one number. And you're either going to have a high number or a low number, and we're going to look at how that can be evaluated against all of your other goals and priorities. And as you can see here, it's pretty simple. It goes from red to gray. In the red, you have high risk based on what's the consequence of failure and what's the likelihood of failure. We talked to your Public Works Director about a lift station that they had. Well, if that particular lift station fails, well, what's the likelihood that's going to fail? It's fairly high. Well, what's the consequence of that failing? It's going to be somewhat catastrophic for that area of town and for the rest of the system. That would be up in the upper right-hand corner. So there's a numbering system, and we'll be looking at trying to take all of your risk from the red and moving that into the gray. This is not a perfect process, but it will take time. Then we'll move into a program development, and that's involving scheduling. Everything will be risk-driven. We'll look at what your tolerance for that risk is. what the financial risks are, what the operational risks are, and then we'll look at either starting projects, accelerate projects. Sometimes it might be worth delaying projects, but it will all be based on reducing your overall criteria for that risk. Essentially, this is a case study looking at, and if you look at that example, you can see over in the upper right-hand corner in the middle, before the projects, you can see the numbers were high, 7, 5, 16, and then after the projects, the goal in number 2 is to get them over into the gray. That's the ultimate prioritization and optimization of public works, community development. We really believe that you have a lot of community development, private development, but that's really actually public infrastructure that you're accepting. And this needs to be a priority within this community to accept the most superior level of infrastructure that you can. Yukon does not need to settle for less when it comes to private development projects. You're already on the list. People want to develop here. You've got public schools, you've got development areas, you've got commercial and retail. You are a high competitor in the metropolitan area. You do not have to settle for lesser when it comes to streets, water, sewer, and other infrastructure. Ultimately, this is going to come up with capital budget and spending. And you can see on the bottom, looking at staff hours and seeing where you can budget and spend your staff hours. And that's not just staff, that could be resources in other engineering firms, other types of consultants that you may need. Ultimately, it's driving that risk profile down. If you look at it, we'll help you to determine what your capital spend is and optimizing that, and we'll look at reducing that risk over time. This may take 3, 5, 10 years, but it will give you a roadmap to the future. There is a scheduling impact, and sometimes it means that you're going to have to make decisions, and we'll bring that forward with city staff's recommendation on where that risk profile will be for this community. So the first steps of implementation are that we are entering into this contract. This is an hourly rate contract. It is not an inclusive type contract. It is just a getting started and launching the implementation. It is based on hourly rates. We will start off with 2 comprehensive workshops that will be half a day, that we will be involving all of the city staff. We met with the interim city manager, your city clerk, had 2 really great meetings, and they're already gathering information, and they're excited to work with us, and we are with them. We'll coordinate on developing an organizational structure to help manage public works, community development, and capital programs. Instead of you relying on a city engineer to tell you what to do, your staff and the community will be providing that input. Engineering services will be evaluated and prioritized. We realize that you're going to have problems. There's going to be things that break. There might be a flood that has an issue. There may be some sewer problems. We are not going to abandon you in that time of need, but we're going to work with your staff to come up with what's the best solution until we can get all of the firms involved that are going to be helping you over the next few years. And with that, I know I rushed through that, but we can answer any questions that you have.
Thank you so much. It's very clear to me, I've had a couple of discussions with Acting City Manager Deckard regarding this change in approach. And it's really, as a fellow engineer, it's very clear to me that you all are taking a different approach. And I like the independence and the willingness to say, hey, we have certain resources in-house, but we're not the end-all be-all. We can take a given project that has a given risk, and we can staff it up with outside consultants, outside engineers at the right cost, with the right expertise. But you all will serve as our quarterback for running through this risk assessment process and this and project management and project scheduling process. I appreciate that.
So this takes the place of team.
That's correct.
When did we decide to solicit bids or people to?
I believe we voted on it in, I can't remember, February or March, but don't quote me on that. and the bids were, I think, posted. You would probably know better than me. They were posted, I think, in May, maybe.
May, and then we did interviews in June.
Response by like mid-June,
Yeah.
and then the city staff has evaluated those responses. You know, I think, you know, team design served the city very well for a very long time, and we're entering a new phase, and SRB's proposal, I think, is very comprehensive, but doesn't preclude us working with the right experts at another engineering firm like Team Design or others that may have the right expertise for a given project.
In fact, probably some of the ones you actually interviewed more than likely will be in the mix of trying to provide you some help, because the staff that did the interviews, there was some really good positive input that was brought from other firms. We are not opposed to bringing all those people back in, and let's figure out who can do the job the best for the city.
I like that approach.
I have another question, but it's not for you. Where it says, and authorize mayor chairman to sign all documents associated thereto, why have we added that in there? We've never had that.
Madam Clerk, would you like to weigh in on the wording of this item, or Attorney Reinhardt?
The mayor can sign these documents, so if you guys approve it, it's basically allowing him to sign the contract with them, and then we can begin working
We
with
just
them.
never had those wording, and so I sent it out to several other municipalities, and they've never stated that in there, and so I wondered why it was added this time.
It was, I mean, it was just put on there this time. It doesn't have to be necessarily, but yeah,
I will say during my tenure with the city of El Reno, that was routinely used.
yeah.
We just
I've seen other municipalities use it. I've used it before as well in other municipalities, so
It was just the first time we've seen it.
yeah.
Any other discussion on this item? Seeing no more discussion, Madam Clerk, could you please call the vote?
Wooten,
Yes.
Selby,
Yes.
Shriver,
Yes.
Zimmerman,
Yes.
Pillmore.
Yes. This time we'll have a thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. At this time, we'll have a presentation and possible action regarding accepting the fiscal year 23-24 City of Yukon Financial Audit Report by HBC CPAs. There was a Scrivener's error in the first version of the agenda that was published, and I just corrected that verbally here. Sir, welcome.
Yes, Mayor Pillmore, members of the council, I'm Lonnie Heim, partner in HBC CPAs. Chris was the partner in charge of the audit, and he had a presentation in Miami to the city council, and he too got held up. So I'm here substituting for him. He also wanted me to let you know that if you have any questions that maybe that I could answer, but not knowing all the progression of the audit, he could come back at another meeting, or you feel free to email him as you wish. So I've got the report up, and I think, I'm going to try to do just a real brief flyover. So on page 5, that's the meat of what we're here to do, and that is audit your financial statements. And years ago, you had to wait till the end of the report to get to the good stuff, but a few years back, Government Accounting Standards Board moved the opinions up to the top, so you get right to the good stuff immediately. So in that second paragraph, this is where we tell you what you're getting. And we say that in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects, and da-da-da-da-da. So in other words, this is a unmodified report. A modified report would be, well, they fairly present except for this, or except for maybe this, but the worst case scenario would be an adverse report, which is everything's gone bonkers. So, but you have an unmodified report, which is the best report you can get. Page 6 it under the next to last paragraph, required supplementary information. This just tells you that we have looked over some required information that the city has to put in with the financial statements. And mainly this is management's discussion and analysis, and also the presentation of the budget numbers. And it says in about 4 or 5 sentences down that we've applied procedures to the information, even though that's not part of the financial statements. We've applied procedures and we've agreed the financial statements to the numbers used in those in that supplementary information. That's required by GASB, Government Accounting Standards Board. There's some other supplemental information that's not required. However, it's presented as an add-on, and we've also audited that information. And basically, those are the financial statements behind the footnotes of the financial statements. So when I look at financial statements of a lot of cities, because we have a lot of cities that are clients and have audited financials, and so I always like to refer to the management's discussion and analysis. So that's on page 10. And so I thought maybe if I just told you some of the areas that you might want to just put a little check mark by, or in some way mark and go back and look at these areas, I think you'll find it very beneficial and enlightening, and you don't have to go through 88 pages to glean, this information is gleaned out of those 88 pages. I won't go through them all, but I will tell you that financial highlights tells you a lot about what happened in the big picture and gives you 4 or 5 bullet points about the main things, the important things. Down at the bottom, the city's financial reporting entity, it's important to know what is included in this. Well, I think the two obvious things are the City of Yukon and the Yukon Municipal Authority. But then also the Economic Development Authority activities are in there, and included in here, and the Yukon Educational Facilities Authority. Then on page 13, this is a presentation of a summary presentation of things that are in those financial statements, and it's very easy to read, and it's also comparative. The financial statements are not generally comparative. They're just a single year presentation, but this gives you a picture of this year versus last year and how things have changed. There's some highlights of changes at the bottom. Did I say page 13? Mm-hmm. Okay. There's some highlights of changes that are in excess of 20% and $300,000 at the bottom, so that's kind of important to look at. Changes in net position, that's basically, if you had a business, this would be your profit and loss statement, and again, comparative to the prior year. And there's some changes, again, at the bottom related to revenues, bottom of page 14. Some more information on page 15 related, and this is kind of interesting, and I'll try to be quick, but this is a presentation of the governmental activities and how they fare up against the expenditures. So if you see, let's just take general government for example, it's $10,140,000, but it's unfunded by $8 million if you go over to that next to the last column. So general government services don't pay for themselves. There's not enough charges, user charges, to be able to do that, whether it's public safety, fines, streets, parks, you can charge admission to the swimming pool and those kinds of things, but they're not going to cover generally those services that you're providing. So where does that money come from to cover that $34 million that's underfunded? And that's in the next to last column. Where does that come from? That comes from sales tax. Sales tax funds those services so that the citizens can enjoy, going to the parks, getting stopped by the police, and all the things. I was just seeing if you were paying attention. And then also down below, these are the expenses of the different utility functions: water and sewer, water and wastewater. That's not politically correct. Sewer is not politically correct anymore. Stormwater and sanitation. On page 16, and an analysis of your assets, and at the bottom, these are the more significant things you purchased. Now, all of this is not prepared by us. This is prepared by management with Crawford assisting. But these are the things that we noted too when we did our audit, and we tracked these to invoices and made sure the costs were reflected correctly. But these are the major things that were purchased. Debt shows your debt, not much change. It actually went down, good thing. Business type debt went up slightly. There's a lot of detail in note 6 about, what's going on in debt. What did we start with? What did we add? What did we pay off? How much interest did we pay? All the things are in that note 6. So.
On this, in the middle of the page where it talks about economic factors, it says OnQ is going to begin construction. That's going to boost our economy some. I've asked Mitchell to, you guys weren't here when we negotiated this, that we're not going to be getting all of that tax from OnQ. And I'd like for Mitchell to remind us, he doesn't have that on top of his head. I don't know why he doesn't just carry that information around. But to remind us how much we're going to be getting, just like we don't get all the tax from Atwoods currently, right? Yep, okay.
Is that because you made concessions to
Yes.
get that in?
And it's up
And
to
that's pretty
like
typical.
500,000. So I just don't
Yeah.
want us, those proverbial little chickens that we talk about, count them yet, because we won't be getting all of that money
I
right away.
understand, yeah.
Thank you. Any other thoughts here, Mr. Heim, around the summary of the financial audit? I think we can certainly read the report and follow up with Chris as we have questions.
Yeah, I'm glad you interrupted because I could have went on another 10 or 15 minutes and didn't really want to.
Yeah.
I read every page of it.
Okay.
Let me just tell you that it was boring as can
Well,
be.
yeah.
I think
You need to read that. You need to read it about 9 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
so you'll get out.
There's a reason I'm a therapist and not an accountant.
Exactly. One other thing I do need to say, and that is, let me get the page number. Go to page 85. You're required to have an audit under uniform guidance, which is a federal audit and an audit of federal funds. And we audited 2 different federal funds, and that was the FEMA funds from left over from the October winter storm, and then the COVID funds that are still ongoing. But we have to separate and audit those funds and comply, with federal requirements. So that was done. So. All right, I'll let you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Heim. We appreciate your feedback.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Now I'll make a motion to accept this financial audit. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any other comments? Seeing no more comments, Madam Clerk, would you please call a vote?
Wooten.
Yes.
Selby.
Yes.
Shriver.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
Pillmore.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Heim and HBC CPAs. This time we'll recess as Yukon City Council and reconvene as the Yukon Municipal Authority. We'll take up the Yukon Municipal Authority consent docket. This item is placed on the agenda so the Yukon Municipal Authority, by unanimous consent, can designate those routine items they wish to be approved by one motion. Should discussion be desired on any item, that item will be removed from the consent docket and considered separately. At this time, the city manager recommends a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 26, 2025. Payment in the amount of $200,000 for project PC-0525 and WC-1037, roadway widening and water line relocation of Southwest 29th Street from Rockwell Avenue to MacArthur Boulevard. The cooperative agreement between the City of Yukon and the City of Oklahoma City for this project was approved at the June 25th, 2024 council meeting. Approved change order number 2 for the wastewater treatment plant improvements phase 1 in the amount of $14,524.66 to be paid from the encumbered American Rescue Plan Act ARPA funds. Approve the following purchases for the sanitation department, all of which are to be purchased utilizing state contract pricing and are approved within the fiscal year 25-26 budget. 2026 Peterbilt semi-truck, $171,499. 2026 walking floor trailer, $104,750, and 2025 Peterbilt automated side loader, $434,990. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
What is a walking floor trailer?
Thank you for asking that.
I had the
wanted to
same.
know
I
too.
had the same question last week on Thursday. Mr. Adams.
Mr. Adams of A&A Construction.
This is a trailer that we haul all the debris from, or the trash from the transfer station. So basically, the trucks come in, dump on the floor. We push that off into a trailer, and it basically has 16 6-inch slats. Every other slat will move about 4 foot. It backs up and the next, it just keeps walking, and it walks the trash out the back end of the trailer. So you don't have to have, that trailer is a 53 foot, trying to pick that up in the air, up on top of the landfill, uneven in the wind.
On a windy
Safer.
day?
Yes,
Safer.
a lot safer.
Thank you, Arnold.
Any other discussion? Seeing no more discussion, Madam Clerk, could you please call the vote?
Wooten.
Yes.
Selby.
Yes.
Shriver.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
Pillmore.
Yes. At this time, we'll have discussion and possible action to approve an agreement with Smith Robert Baltschillweiler LLC, SRB, to provide program management and engineering support services for the Yukon Municipal Authority and the City of Yukon, to authorize Mayor Chairman to sign all documents associated thereto as presented in the City Council. So this is a motion that authorizes the same thing we just did in City Council for the YMA, Yukon Municipal Authority. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing no more discussion, Madam Clerk, could you please call the vote?
Wooten.
Yes.
Selby.
Yes.
Shriver.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
Pillmore.
Yes. At this time, we'll have a discussion and possible action to approve a third amendment to the tower lease agreement between Yukon Municipal Authority and T-Mobile LLC to modify the antenna facilities located at 950 Poplar Avenue and including a rent increase of $152 per month. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing no more discussion, Madam Clerk, could you please call the vote?
Wooten.
Yes.
Selby.
Yes.
Shriver.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
Pillmore.
Yes. At this time, we'll recess as Yukon Municipal Authority and reconvene as Yukon City Council. Similarly, we'll take up the Yukon City Council consent docket. This item is placed on the agenda so the City Council, by unanimous consent, can designate those routine items they wish to be approved by one motion. Should discussion be desired on any item, that item will be removed from the consent docket and considered separately. The City Manager recommends a motion that will approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 26, 2025. Payment of material claims in the amount of $1,874,995.87. Designating the items on the attached list from the Technology Department as surplus and authorizing their sale, trade, donation, or disposal. Payment in the amount of $200,000 for project PC-025 and WC-1037 roadway widening and waterline relocation of Southwest 29th Street from Rockwell Avenue to MacArthur Boulevard. The cooperative agreement between the City of Yukon and the City of Oklahoma City for this project was approved at the June 25th, 2024 council meeting and is included under the Municipal Authority consent docket. The renewal agreement with Merchant McIntyre and Associates LLC for government relations services commencing on July 1st, 2025 and terminating on December 31st, 2025 in the amount of $8,000 per month. Approve the memorandum of agreement between City of Yukon and Life Church of Yukon regarding time restrictions for the use of the additional driveway. Approve the renewal of school resource officer SRO agreements for the 2025-2026 school year as outlined below. St. John Nepomuc Catholic School, 1 SRO officer, $75,000. Yukon Public Schools, 4 SROs, $300,000. Approve the following purchases and agreements for the Technology Department, all equipment to be purchased using state contract pricing, and as approved within the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. 2 FortiGate firewalls, $53,774.52. FortiVoice phone system, $100,351.57. Alerting smart station system for fire station number 2, $52,724.17. Upgrade to the Eventide voice radio traffic recorder for the police department, $81,851. Statement of work agreement with Civic Plus for agenda management system, $15,850. Statement of work and biller agreement with Invoice Cloud for credit card merchant processing services, no cost to the city. Maintenance renewal for police New World System software, $117,289.79. Approve the following street projects for the street department, all to be completed using 2025 on-call concrete and asphalt paving and storm sewer project contract or state contract as approved within the fiscal year 25-26 budget. Asphalt resurface of South First Street from 800 South First Street north to Oak Avenue by Schwartz Paving, $199,840. Concrete and asphalt rehabilitation of 5th Street from Poplar Avenue to Main Street by Schwartz Paving, $678,000. Sidewalk construction, Phase 3 on the west side of Cornwell from Poplar Avenue to Vine Street by Schwartz Paving, $250,000. Citywide sidewalk repairs by Schwartz Paving Company, $250,000. Citywide striping at various locations by Action Safety Supply, $100,000. Replacement of concrete panels, Phase 5 by Schwartz Paving, $250,000. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Thank you, Councilmember Zimmerman. Any discussion?
Can you read all that again for me?
Do you need
I
a
just
break?
wanted to bring up item E. I had somebody ask me about that, why we would spend that kind of money, and I just want to tell them, Brian and I both have gone to DC to lobby with Stephanie Bice for federal funds. She does discretionary funds, Langford doesn't, so we go see him, but he doesn't do those. We also meet with her when she comes here, but there are a lot of grants out there that are very, very hard to get. And there's so much money that we have seen other cities get, and so these people have those connections, so that's why. So,
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Selby. Additionally, the firm, Merchant McIntyre, is a very well-regarded firm, and Brent Merchant himself, one of the named partners of the firm, actually handles our account and has lobbied with Councilmember Selby, with myself, to our lawmakers. And I think he meets with city staff each month, and he provides a monthly report as well. I think one of the things that I would encourage all council members, as well as critical staff members and our city manager, to find some time. I'm going to, I think, make, as I did this year, make one trip in the spring. But find some time where, in coordination with Merchant McIntyre, you could make a visit to our lawmakers. It's great to see them when they're back here in district. It's great to see them there. We just need to do more of it and be consistent and tell the Yukon story. We need to tell the story of our community, the growth that we're seeing, the good things that are happening, and how we ought to get our fair share of federal dollars that are coming back to communities in Oklahoma.
I'd just like to comment on that I goes to show you that this council's pretty driven on fixing a lot of our infrastructural problems that seems to have been postponed for quite some time. So I really like I get it's a lot of big numbers there, but they are necessary.
Yep. Back to the engineer's comment around assets. The city has assets. Some of those assets are in bank accounts. Some of those assets are on the streets you drive on. The ability of you to flush your toilet, that's an asset. And that's the way this council looks at it. And we're excited about, getting to the basics of government, providing the things that actually form civilization. Any other discussion? Seeing no more discussion, Madam Clerk, could you please call the vote?
Wooten,
Yes.
Selby,
Yes.
Shriver,
Yes.
Zimmerman,
Yes.
Pillmore,
Yes. At this time, we'll have a discussion and possible action to review and approve proposal specifications and park locations for Phase 1 of the citywide playground equipment replacement plan for fiscal year 2025-2026 for installation of 4 designated parks, it should say playgrounds, designated parks within the city of Yukon, and at a cost not to exceed $449,999.99 per playground, as recommended by the Parks and Rec Director. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Ryan, would you like to share a little bit of, you've put together a very thorough and yet also open-ended bid packet that was good to read.
While you're passing that out, I noticed on Holly today that we tore down the pavilion that was there. Are we putting something back up?
Actually, shade
There
cloth
on
going up.
Holly.
I didn't see him tear it down. I saw the shade cloth going up.
Well, they tore down the metal.
Correct. Yeah, the new one should
Uh-huh. I haven't driven by
They
today.
would put it up today. Yep, looks good too.
Good evening. First of all, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to do this. I think anytime we get to upgrade our parks or add playgrounds in our community, it improves the quality of life in our community. So that's a great thing. So thank you. You'll see there in your packets, I'll try to discuss all of that in there. But what I'm recommending for the 4 playgrounds are going to be 4 parks that do not currently have playground equipment in them, which I think is a very important consideration to take those into account first. So the 4 that I'm recommending are Dickinson Park, Welch Park, Taylor Park, and also the Greenbelt. And so I wanted to kind of explain the Greenbelt a little bit because I think probably most people are familiar with those first 3, but the Greenbelt
Well, I
not
have
so
one on the
much.
first one. That's where the kids play, practice soccer. Is that
Correct.
gonna be right in the middle of their soccer fields?
We'll be able to move some things around there. That won't
I'd
be
rather
an
see it go
issue.
on the other side of the creek. I mean.
The
they're
issue
gonna
over
be
there is the
unhappy.
drainage,
They're
kind of
gonna
what
be mad.
we're looking at there, but there'll be considerations at all those different locations. On the Greenbelt specifically, just so you guys are kind of aware of where that is, that starts on the south side of East Vandament there, just to the west of Independence Intermediate School, and runs south from there through kind of some neighborhood area there and that's in between Greenway Avenue and Redbud Street. And then Redbud Street actually comes back around and circles around towards the east there. And so the location for that park would be just on the south side of Redbud Street there, which I think you can see there in your packets there. It's across that street, and then there's a nice little area there to be able to add a park. But I think you can also see in your packet there, not just the specific parks, but the locations within those parks. And we put a few different options there, and the reason for that is because as we dig deeper into this, there's going to be a lot of things that possibly come to the surface that we need to consider as we go through this process. And so we'll work with Arnold and the Public Works team and with Danielle and the Development Services team, as well as the playground company, and to consider all the different things that we have to consider for these playgrounds, accessibility, safety, cost, floodplains, underground utilities, space. There's a lot of different things to consider. So wanted to give you some options there in your packets, but those considerations will be made with the playground companies as we go through this process.
Who mows that, green belt right now? Do we?
The streets department mows
Street
that
does, okay.
currently.
On the Welch Park, is that gonna interfere with our disc golf?
It will not. That's already been taken into consideration, and those locations are not within the area of where they would throw those. Any other questions on the locations? Also within your packet there, you will see the proposal specifications. We'll be sending those out to a variety of different playground companies, just like we did for the Hillcrest Playground. Those will go out to as many as we can send those out to, and then we will set a due date. If these are approved this evening, we'll set a due date of August 8th on those. That gives them some weeks to meet with me, to go out there to see the site, and then to get their proposals together. And those proposal specifications will go out this week if those are approved tonight. Are there any other questions as far as the specific locations within the parks or within the specifications?
I'm
As I-
just- yeah, I'm just still real concerned about the soccer, so just please don't take away any other practice.
There's no intention to do that. There's plenty of space there for both soccer and the playground, and I know that's important to the soccer people in our community.
I think it'd be a great addition near the soccer. Those soccer fields stay busy.
Yeah. Well, and there's lots of families, you know, I know when my boys go play baseball at the Yukon Park, at City Park, you know, the girls go and play on the playground there. So I think it's great to have options for the entire family when you go to the park.
Agreed.
I really like how you've put together the proposal.
Mm-hmm.
The proposal, when I read through it, I thought, wow, this is a very thoughtful approach that allows these companies, within the boundaries of this proposal, they can still use creativity, and then you all can evaluate the best fit. And they can bid on one or four of the playgrounds, or two or three. They can bid on any number of these playgrounds. They can propose an approach, and you know, you may use 4 companies, you may use one.
Correct. Yeah, and that was
great.
the intention behind it. I think that gives us the best bet to get the highest quality playgrounds doing it that way.
I like the department's approach.
I like these little parks. You know, if y'all not seen one, we put one at Hillcrest. It is done, and that little thing stays pretty busy too, and some looks to be well built equipment. So I'm pretty excited about adding a few more parks, some more
Yeah.
equipment, anyways.
Yeah. Thank you, Ryan.
And I think it's great that you pick parks that don't have stuff yet. I
Agreed.
think that's gonna be outstanding.
Yeah, I think the Greenbelt specifically, there's not a playground anywhere near in those neighborhoods, and I think that's going to be a great thing.
And it's
Yeah.
those neighborhoods are high density. They, you know, obviously over by Spanish Cove, but you know, to the east and to the south of Spanish Cove, high density neighborhoods with lots of kids. So it's great.
And I grew up down the street from that Walsh Park, and it's never had a playground. I mean, it's had a swing.
Yeah,
That's it.
it's a great park though.
Yeah, it is a great park.
Beautiful park.
It's a hidden secret.
All right. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Any other discussion items on this? Seeing no more discussion, Madam Clerk, could you please call the vote?
Wooten,
Yes.
Selby,
Yes.
Shriver,
Yes.
Zimmerman,
Yes.
Pillmore,
Yes. At this time, we'll have discussion and possible action to approve memorandum of understanding between Yukon Fraternal Order of Police, FOP Lodge, and the City of Yukon for the expenditure of funds for equipment in the amount of $489,937. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll begin this discussion by just saying that this aligns with the approach that we discussed during budget around the equipment for the police, continuing to get really great use. 250 plus days last year of training facilities being used by our own agency and partner agencies, and also protecting our assets. We have around 65 vehicles in the police fleet, and being able to cover those millions of dollars of assets with parking structure is really important. Back to the discussion around our engineering, the risk of loss to those vehicles due to weather and so on. So I fully support this and appreciate the city manager, the acting city manager, and the FOP coordinating on this particular MOU.
And is this just for equipment? What did I read about a retention thing?
Yeah, this is included in there as well, and that is a little bit different. We have some very so back to our discussion last meeting around succession. There is a smaller piece of this expenditure that is focused on retention bonus, and that retention bonus is it's based on years of service. But what is the goal of that retention bonus? In working with the FOP, working with the police chief, working with the acting city manager, and our HR director, Tamara Vickery, designing a program to incentivize career law enforcement to stick around another year, another 2 years, another 3 years. So based on years of service, they have something that incentivizes them, because guys get to 20 years, and we have a number of our 67 sworn, how many sworn officers? 55 sworn officers. Total department is 73 in the police department. It's really critical that we retain experienced officers that can supervise on these shifts. And so that's what this particular longevity, it's a bit of a longevity bonus.
So are we doing that for our fire department, our water department, our library?
Yeah, the short answer is we have something in this agenda around the birthday bonus, which we've gone back. We budgeted $500 for birthday bonus, but we've gone back and evaluated the budget. And we'll take that item up in a minute. But that item is to incentivize all employees outside of fire and police to focus on giving them an extra week's salary in the week of their birthday. And that's been in existence for a long time. We didn't have it in this past year's budget based on the recommendations and the cuts proposed by prior city manager and city staff. And we've gone back with the help of the acting city manager, with the urging of the vice mayor, to reconsider that and incentivize all employees with that birthday bonus.
So will the police not get the birthday bonus, but they'll get their retention bonus? Or will they get both?
I'd have to defer to HR. Yeah, they get both on that.
Are we doing that for our fire department and our water?
That's correct.
Fire's getting it too? Well, then this whole motion is very misleading. Are fires getting?
The
Okay.
fire is coming.
But will we do it then for the water department? I mean, this should have been in negotiations, I really think.
It was.
Mm,
It's done by a new.
Captain Frame and I got together, come up with an MOU to do this retention bonus plus this item here, and it fits in with the
But it wasn't done
negotiation.
in our last negotiations. So we reopened negotiations.
It is part of the pest account, and the pest account is made or done for the police, the fire,
think
and the
that-
general
General
employees.
employees.
I think the critical thing, as I looked at this, I think the critical thing to recognize is that there are a number of metro area departments that are focused on the same thing. They're focused on retaining the 20-year plus servants within police in particular. And for us, we have to manage the risk of those retirements at the same time that our police chief succession process is ongoing, and we'll have backfill promotions for deputy chief potentially and majors. And that's a really critical aspect to manage here. The pest ordinance itself specifically calls out competitive compensation. And so in benchmarking the other departments in the metro area that have put in place these types of retention bonuses, we looked at it and said, this is a competitive incentive to keep these, especially it really affects the longer tenured guys. And that's why I supported it. Initially, I was curious of why, and then I started looking and talked to the Moore police chief, talked to some other departments that have gone through this process.
I guess my whole thing is, just like last week or last time ago, when we voted on John's thing, I'm all for John's thing, but I wanted it for everybody else. So now this time we're voting for everybody else. Why didn't we wait till we had it for everybody rather than just singling out one department? Again, I just think I'm not against the police. I'm not for the fire or for the water department. I just think it needs to be equal.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
I don't care.
Okay. Any other comments on this particular item?
I'd like to have that change, though, that it says funds for equipment, I think that's misleading,
Okay.
don't you think?
Vice Mayor Wooten has the motion. Would you like to amend your motion, Vice Mayor Wooten?
Be more than happy to.
Would you like to amend it for competitive compensation in addition to the expenditure of funds for equipment?
Sounds like a great phrase.
Very good. The motion has been made by Vice Mayor Wooten. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion on this item? Seeing no more discussion, Madam Clerk, could you please call the vote?
Wooten.
Yes.
Selby.
No.
Shriver.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
Pillmore.
Yes. At this time, we'll have discussion and possible action to approve budget amendments 01-01208 for fiscal year 2025-2026. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Finance Manager Chris, would you come up and please present these items?
Yes, sir. And
The first one I did just mention around birthday bonuses, and I'll continue my comment from before. You'll see this a little less than $100,000 item on budget amendment number 1. You know, we believe that the city of Yukon is the premier employer of choice in the city of Yukon. And indeed, in the metro area, it's quite possibly one of the best places to work. We think that the competitive compensation is critical, and it's the little things. This is a game of inches. It's the little things that make it a great place to work. The people, the staff, the HR team that supports the employees, the leadership, and just the city, the citizens that you serve are great folks to work around. This puts back in place the birthday bonus, which is very popular amongst the city staff. We found opportunity within the budget to pay for this, and I fully support it. I want to recognize all of the 250 plus city staff, and this is, you know, a small token. It's one extra week's pay to their pay. So think of it as an extra, a little less than 2% increase in their pay. But it's important and meaningful, and dollars that they can do something nice with, especially on the week of their birthday.
To your point, the first 1 through, I think it's 1 through 5, but let me verify. 1 through 5 are those adjustments, specifically for birthday bonus. The intent was to try to identify somewhere within the budget that if we reduced somewhere would have a net 0 impact just for that regard. After speaking with Acting City Manager Deckard, we identified that there was already some cost savings that was been realized in the approach to some of the street paving issues. So that was reduced specifically. The other adjustments of the first 5 are just the different funds that those people may be paid out of, or the adjustment, as I mentioned, of removing some of that additional funding to a capital improvement fund. So those are the first 5. And I apologize, the item should have read through 7. That's my error. There are just 2 additional beyond those first 5. Item 6, or budget amendment 6, is the adjustments to the budget related to the police MOU. There was an additional allowance for gym equipment to be purchased in the amount of $10,896. So we're increasing capital expenditures there to address that, as well as the $294,000 on the retention bonus that's noted in the police MOU. And then item 7, budget amendment 7, and I apologize, the first summary page doesn't have the details on this. My entrance into the city, this was something that was in a budget in years past. I was informed by staff members who are no longer with the city that rental lease was ending. It was discovered later that contract has not ended. We do still have a rental agreement to American Legion for the Veterans Museum. So this is just to increase from our unallocated fund balance, the $11,000, to pay for the remainder of the year.
Thank you for
Thanks for including that, yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot for, and this goes back to like very fundamentals of any business, any government operation, going back to the document. So it turns out there's a lease document. For a long time, like Acting City Manager Deckard hadn't seen it, Finance Director Chris hadn't seen it, just dug and found the lease document and come to realize the date on the document is not what people were saying. And so this is, great support for a wonderful Veterans Museum and American Legion building. Great organization, and we're proud to be associated with both the Veterans Museum and the American Legion finishing out this lease. I support all of these and appreciate you pulling those together, Finance Director Chris. Any other discussion on these items?
I'm excited to see the birthday bonus come back.
It's awesome. It's going to get all the team jazzed about it.
Yeah, it's just something little that we can do that it's needed.
Is it retroactive because your secretary had a birthday Friday?
It is.
Sunday.
It goes back to the
it,
beginning of the fiscal year.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody is gonna miss a bonus, so.
Yeah, and Tamara and the team, this is something that requires cared feeding, because it's not a simple thing to take 250 employees, know their birthdays on a given week. We don't in our payroll system, we don't have automation, unfortunately. So thank you to Tamara and the team for making sure that people get their birthday bonus on their birthday week, and not forget it. I sometimes I forget my own birthday. So, any other discussion on this item? Seeing no more discussion, Madam Clerk, could you please call the vote?
Wooten.
Yes.
Selby.
Yes.
Shriver.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
Pillmore.
Yes. At this time, we'll have discussion and possible action on ordinance number 1477, an ordinance amending the retirement system defined benefit plan of the city of Yukon, Oklahoma, by providing a special retirement option for certain eligible employees based on the age and years of vesting service of such employees, providing for severability and declaring an emergency. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on this item? Ms. Vickery, would you mind coming up for a minute? We may need your expertise to explain it to us. For the benefit of the group, I'll just lend what Ms. Vickery has taught me and Jody from OKMRF has taught me about the defined benefit plan. We have a defined benefit pension plan within our city. Of those 250 some full-time employees, we have around 34 employees currently on that plan. And this rule of 77 window would allow for, give or take, 12 of those 34 employees to have the option to decide to retire early. This is, again, back to prudent management of defined pension plans. Our pension is in, I'll call it sunset years, in terms of it was ended many years ago. In terms of new entrants have come into the city under a defined contribution plan, also managed by OKMRF. But those 34 participants in this defined benefit plan are valued employees, but this is giving them an option to elect to retire. So I'd say retire early. It's an election to retire. Regardless of what age you decide to do that at.
Right.
Can you lay out the criteria for this
Yes.
election?
So you have to meet a window. It says rule of 77. We are adding 2 years of service to that, to each employee. To meet that rule of 77, you have to be age and years of service, and it has to equal 77. So it is unreduced. If someone in that group was to take it without this window, it would be a reduced
And
amount that
reduced,
they-
under this defined benefit plan, as you and Jody have taught me, give or take 6% per year, less than 65 years old.
Right.
Okay.
So it cuts it each year. It's a little more and you have to be 55 in order to be eligible.
Okay. This is a window they would elect by, I think, September 15th, from what I read.
Yeah. They have to sign the papers and elect by September 15th.
And then it would be effective on the date of their choosing, but by September 30th.
By September 30th.
Okay. I asked Finance Director Chris to estimate the cost to the city, and that's a complicated question because this deals with pension plans, and you have both the cash cost, also the managing the liability of the pension, and so on. Some of the things that I learned from Finance Director Chris, Jody, and from HR Director Vickery, the present value change in the pension would go up by $2 million. These particular employees, the 12 that are eligible, have approximately $500,000 in accrued vacation and sick leave. That's already accrued, so it's not a financial impact to the city. You'll see it in the financial audit that we just saw. You'll see accrued payroll liability for vacation and sick leave. And then I messed up the number. If all 13 were to elect, it would be a reduced payroll cost and benefit cost to the city of about $1.26 million per year. So it would theoretically pay for itself in less than 2 years, and then you would have a $1.25 million savings. Based on Finance Director Chris's estimates of along with the acting city manager, of whether these people would be backfilled, whether the positions would be eliminated, or whether, and when, if they're backfilled, are they backfilled with a part-time, a full-time, et cetera? So those were some of the background questions that I had, and I appreciate city staff digging into that.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for HR Director Vickery? Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing no more discussion, Madam Clerk, would you please call the vote?
Wooten.
Yes.
Selby.
Yes.
Shriver.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
Pillmore.
Yes. Similarly, discussion and possible action at this time on the emergency clause for ordinance number 1477. By way of background, our city charter does allow for emergency clauses. Emergency ordinance is an ordinance which, in the judgment of the council, is necessary for immediate preservation of peace, health, or safety, and which should become effective prior to the time when an ordinary ordinance would become effective, which is give or take 30 days. In the case of this ordinance, the change to amend the retirement defined benefit plan is essential to put into place immediately to allow our valued employees who are eligible for this early retirement window to have the requisite time to evaluate and plan. What does that mean? They can talk to their financial advisors. They can meet with OKMRF pension advisors. They can meet with our HR team, which is very versed in this, and evaluate the impact to them personally in such an important decision. So I support this emergency clause. I will make the motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any other discussion on this emergency clause? Seeing no more discussion, Madam Clerk, can you please call the vote?
Wooten.
Yes.
Selby.
Yes.
Shriver.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
Pillmore.
Yes. Madam Clerk, is there any new business?
No, Mr. Mayor.
At this time, we'll have our visitors section of our agenda. Anyone having an item of business to present to the City Council that does not appear on the agenda, please come to the podium at this time. Please state your name and address. You're requested to limit your presentation to 3 minutes. Any item being presented must pertain to the City of Yukon business. The Oklahoma Meetings Act prohibits the City Council from taking official action on requests made during this portion of the agenda unless otherwise noted on the agenda. Mr. Scott.
Charlie Scott, 504 Frisco Ridge Road. Almost 4.5 months ago, we learned of Venue's amphitheater proposal, partly from a planning commission meeting and then an article in the Yukon Progress. In that intervening time, 600 plus Yukon citizens formed community activism in opposition to that. And we have been waiting 4.5 months for this day. 4 cities, Yukon was the 4th city in central Oklahoma to reject Venue's amphitheater proposal. That's a credit to all 4 of those cities, including Yukon, and the city council, that you recognized, it took you a little while, but you recognized that Venue's business model for the amphitheater was not a good model. But we do appreciate that the city council did its due diligence. You funded the feasibility study. It showed you would have lost $92 million over 30 years and lost revenue. You did the appraisal. You listened to us. You looked at the data. You had a direct meeting with an executive with Venue that basically says, we don't want this. And so we've waited a long time to hear that the amphitheater is dead. And so, on behalf of those 600 and something citizens of Yukon, and many people in this room, we thank you for making that decision to reject it, to kill it, whatever we want to call it. So I just have a small memento, because I'm guessing this was probably the biggest, most active community activism ever in the city of Yukon.
You're right.
We're not giving up on being involved in the city. We fill this room every time, we'll still be here. And so we're gonna be, but some of you haven't gotten a button, some of you got 2. Jeff.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Charlie.
Adam never got one.
We appreciate you, Charlie.
That's right, thank you.
The city attorney gets one. Oh, right. Happy city manager.
Suzanne Heggie, 720 Chateau Avenue. Pardon my voice, I'm a little hoarse. Like Charlie said, there have been a lot of us here in these meetings. And I've learned a lot of things since I've started coming to the meetings. And I've learned a lot of things from going to the budget planning meetings. And I've told some of the heads of these departments, I think our department heads do a really good job. I think just from reading through their budgets, reading through their proposals, it's obvious they know what their jobs are. They know what their limitations are in terms of their budgets, and they try to make the best use of the money that we've got here in Yukon. I truly appreciate that. The accountant in me appreciates it. The lawyer in me appreciates it. The person who balances her own budget every month in it appreciates it. What I would like to see for the city of Yukon are a couple of things. I hear complaints many times from people I don't even solicit information from. Why is it so hard to get a business up and running in the city of Yukon? We hate doing it. It's always it's a problem. I don't know what the problem is. I think I know what some of the problems are, but I'm not saying that we don't follow our rules. I'm not saying that we don't have ordinances that provide for an orderly system which allows businesses, but I think one of the big complaints I hear is it's so difficult to get anything done, we just don't want to do it. And when people say that, they tell two people, and they tell two people, and they tell two people, and people are like, we're not even going to bother with it. One of the other things I've noticed is, for instance, the church that wanted the what did you call it? I don't know what it's called.
Drive.
Yes, the curb cut. They came in here and they asked for it. They followed all the rules. I am a rule follower, okay? I love the rules because they level the playing field. They allow everybody to know what the rules are, what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to do it. They came in here, they followed all the rules. They went to ODOT, they went to the Traffic Commission, they went to the Planning Commission. They did everything they were supposed to do, and they get in here and they're told, well, we don't really have to let you do that.
I'm not sure that that's exactly what.
I know, but that was what they heard, and that's what I heard. Well, we really don't have to let you do that. Okay, and to me, when you do that, I've been on many councils, okay? And I think the function is to take the information that's presented to you and do what's best for the city. When you say, I think your lane needs to be longer, I think this needs to be done, this needs to be done. What you're telling your traffic commission, your planning commission, the Oklahoma Department of Transportation is, yeah, you really don't know what you're doing. And whether you think you've done that or not, that's the impression that I get when I sit here listening. And I think these people know what they're doing. They've evaluated it, they've gotten the information, the people have come in and they've brought this before the commission. So I would ask that you, if you have a question or you have a concern, that maybe that it's something that you don't tell them, well, I think this should work this way or that way. You've got people whose jobs it is to do that. And if you trust them to do their job, then I suggest you go with it. And if you don't trust them to do their jobs, then you need to tell them that also. One final thing. I think this city needs a city planner. I know we're a small city, but you know what? The city of Hochatown has a dedicated city planner who grew up in this city. And I think we have been just from sitting in the meetings, I've heard we need a 5-year plan. It would go toward helping us get better bond rates, and it would allow some cohesiveness to our city, to allow us to see where we're going to move forward. So if we can afford a $63,000 receptionist, we can afford a city planner. And I think it's something that the city of Yukon needs to seriously consider, and consider now. Not in 5 years, not in 2 years, now. We need a plan. And I think that's what this whole amphitheater thing was. It was like, it was just a thing. Hey, let's do this. We need a plan. And I think our city deserves that. And I think we're big enough for it. And I think you've got a lot of people in this room who have a lot of ideas and have seen a lot of things out there. They might not all work, but if we don't have any comprehensive plan at all, nothing's going to work and it's never going to change. I appreciate you listening, and I thank you for your service.
Thank you, Ms. Hagee. Any other visitors that would like to comment? At this time, we'll have discussion and possible action to enter. Oh.
Thank you all for listening to us. I hope the lines of communication can stay open and can continue. And because I think we all have different ideas, but I think we all want the same goal. And if we're show grace instead of judgment, we'll be in a lot better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Burdine. At this time, we'll have discussion and possible action to enter into executive session pursuant to 25 OS 307B1 for the purpose of discussing specific candidates who have submitted applications for the position of city manager and, if necessary, the hiring of a city manager. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? Seeing no more discussion, Madam Clerk, could you please call the vote?
Wooten.
Yes.
Selby.
Yes.
Shriver.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
Pillmore.
Yes. Attorney Reinhardt and HR Director Vickery, would you please join us in council chambers?
Gavel, everybody.
At this time, we'll have a motion to reconvene from executive session. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing no more discussion, Madam Clerk, could you please call the vote?
Wooten.
Yes.
Selby.
Yes.
Shriver.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
Pillmore.
Yes. I'll now read the minutes from the executive session. During the executive session, only the items on the agenda were discussed. No action was taken. No votes were cast. At this time, this meeting is adjourned.